Hey everybody, I'd like to welcome you to this week's Dental Up podcast here at Keating Dental Arts. I want to thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to talk with Brandon Fetters. He's our senior technical advisor here at Keating Dental Arts, and he's been in the industry for about 18 years. Most of them been with me, and I thank you so much for coming in today. Know it's a little last notice, a little crazy around here. March Madness, and just we're real busy, and it's just kind of got a late start doing this podcast, but we're excited to do it up here with Brendan. And I always start off talking a little bit about sports and current events and things like that. Mm-hmm. Did you get into our pool at all, or no?
No,
the March Madness.
I saw that. I took a good look at it, but I never actually filled out the bracket yet.
Why, you're not a big basketball guy, or you don't really know?
Not really a big basketball guy, but it's a great sport to watch. I love it because it's high pace. It keeps the entertainment moving quick.
I like you like that right brain or ADD like me. Like you got to have stuff moving, man. It's I love basketball this time of season especially. But I'm like 4-0 right now, baby. But it's only a couple hours in. I got up 4, but my Florida team is like they're getting handled a little bit, but they might be coming back a little bit right now. But I guess they say like almost 95% of the brackets will have at least one loss by the first night of the tournament. I'm like, dang, it's just so hard to pick. And we did this thing for free lab work and all this stuff. And at first I was going to do, if you do 20 grand a month, that's fine. So I sat down and we thought about it. So we kind of did it to where, if you get a perfect bracket, it's 100 grand. Sure, the odds are tough to get it. I mean, real tough.
Yeah.
But I still just worry that someone's going to, not worry, it would be really kind of cool if we did get someone to do it. But so we had to be in reality. I mean, I'm not like Buffett, Warren Buffett. I think he offers $1 billion, but he's got that, that's like $25 in his pocketbook. With me, 100 grand, I mean, that's going to be a tough...
the percentage value.
I'm going to pull that out of a few accounts now. So the 100 grand was, it's reality. I could pay that if we had to, and we'd love to. And then the lab work, we went down to 5 grand because, 20 grand, it's $250,000 every, couple months, 6 months or so. It's just, It's a lot. But in reality, I truly believe someone could get it. And... so in reality, 5 grand a month, hopefully I can get that dentist up to 10 grand a month so we could actually make some money.
There you go.
So it's just something, we're excited about it, and I think we've got up to like 160 people that joined it this year. So it's pretty cool. And I hope a dentist wins it. And like I said, if someone that's not a dentist wins it, whoever the top dentist is in our pool will get that free lab work for life. So really excited there. And I hope and pray that someone does get it, because it would be the greatest thing in the world. I mean, can you imagine the marketing we'd get out of that if someone happened to win this dental dude put on his dental lab a thing for 100 grand and free lab work for life. Lo and behold, someone wins it. It's like, I think I'd be on I'd be on the damn interweb or whatever. I'd be a little bit of everywhere, I'm thinking.
If you getting some more requests for other similar type programs or offers.
But it's just something, it's hard to find our audiences. Like, when we get on social media, it's like, we're talking to different people out there, but it's that rare dentist. There's only a certain amount of dentists out there, and, it's just, I wish I could go straight to the public and say, you know what? If you go to your dentist, you should be having them ask for Keating Dental Arts because we make the best teeth out there. So It's just when you get the masses kind of talking about your work, that would be kind of a neat thing. But you got to earn it. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to earn it here. And March Madness is going. I know the Rams hired a big time left tackle, big Rams guy here, and they took this guy from Cincinnati, like Pro Bowler Bengal, and he's a stud. He's like 6'8", 300 some pounds, like Pro Bowl last 3 years. And I'm surprised, the Bengals let him go, but we picked him up, and I think we have a first rounder that was our left tackle from like 2 years ago, and the guy's just been horrible. So we're going to put him over the right side. So we got that. We got another DB signed, and so we're looking forward to football coming up again. It's not for a few months, but we do have the draft coming up, and we don't really have many picks for the Rams, but we got to get back up there against the Patriots and other, top teams in the NFL so we can at least compete. Last year, we had the worst offense in the NFL, and our defense is pretty good. We got Wade Phillips coming over to run the defense. So I'm excited about that. So, well, we'll kind of get done with that. We got St. Patrick's Day coming up. You gonna do anything for this weekend? What do you got going?
Oh, I stay inside, stay safe, stay off the roads on drinking holidays.
The Irish, it's almost every day. The holidays. What did I say?
I got plenty of booze at home.
It's safe. Stay safe and stay smart. I mean, it
Absolutely.
is true, but it falls on a Friday, so it's going to be pretty crazy this weekend for sure. It'll probably go Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The Irish, but we have this little place by our house called Patsy's, and I'm a big corned beef guy, as you can tell probably, or maybe you can't tell. Love me my corned beef and cabbage.
We're gonna have to go over to Malarkey's here sometime.
Malarkey's is good too. I've thrown a few pints back in that place. And, Malarkey. But no, I love that. And there are a few places around town that are really good Irish places around here. But we're excited about that. All right, so dude, let's talk about, you were so important with our doctors, and because a lot of times you're on the bad end of talking to the doctor's office, because a lot of our division managers, they'll take care of calls with certain cases, but more so than not, a lot of them come back into your office, and you're doing a lot of calls daily on cases, treatment planning, and or problems with what we received. And it's a hard thing to really, to really fine tune it when you're talking to a dentist, especially someone that we don't have a relationship with, and we're telling him everything that he probably doesn't want to hear. But it's just something, it's a fine line. I know through the years, we have lost quite a few accounts, probably coming across too hard maybe, or not really too hard, but just they didn't want to hear what they wanted to hear from us because they wanted it done. And, at the end of the day, we don't charge for remakes, and when we start a case, we kind of end up marrying this case till it's done. So
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about what you do in the company and how your day kind of consists starting off in the morning a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting, like you said, about the just right off the bat with that whole coming into the idea of here's a certain conflict that we're going to have.
Yes.
The way that I like to look at it, the way that I've kind of had a philosophy about it for a while now, is that despite the fact that it may be addressing a problem or taking a concern from a customer, is that in the end, really, you're there to find a solution to the problem.
Absolutely.
So that kind of becomes my target at the end of it, just keep your eye on the target kind of a thing. And so, we got to go through these rapids, but by the time we're done, this is going to end in a result that's going to work out best for everybody. All parties involved, because in the end we're all working for the patient.
Yep.
Like you were saying, if we could actually get to becoming a household name, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But
We'll work on that. We're going to work on it, right?
yeah. We're doing it now. But to answer your direct question, there, working starting the day off, kind of just coming in, getting the phone turned on and going through the caseload, seeing what's there, what might just be a concern from a login team individual who didn't understand quite what was technically written out on a prescription, just clarification like that, try and get those cases back into production as quickly as possible. Following up on emails, voicemails, anything that you had from the previous day, or while I wasn't here, I should say. Trying to address those, but then after that, I kind of break it down, start looking at arrival dates, because I want to make sure that we're trying to get in contact as quickly as possible. Good. So we don't have cases sitting around, because sometimes when you get in a case comes and another one, sometimes that case with higher priority can get something else on top of it, so you got to really try and keep them separated or segregated out into prioritizing what really needs to be hit on first. So that's definitely one of those big things to do, to always keep an eye on, is that arrival date of the case, to make sure that we are in contact within a decent amount of time.
Yeah, it's my big pet peeve. Our thing here is turnaround. We like to do things like 3 days in lab, 4 days, and 5 days at the most. And implants can be a little bit longer if there's hardware to be ordered and stuff like that. I think it's 7 to 9 days, but It's all about turnaround for us. So when you get cases that we don't, even our ceramists and our waxers and all our different technicians, we don't allow rollover of cases, and it's so important. There's a patient that needs that restoration done, and we don't need to sit around for a day or two by lack of organization on our part. So we like to be organized, and turn around. It sets ourselves apart really with us. We like to do things, not that we're rushing the case, but it's just we have the people in their positions, and it's just ready to go, man. And we rock and roll this. I mean, we do cases in 24-hour turnover. I mean, we do all these over-the-shoulder programs, and we bring them in that lab that night. We do them that night, and we see them the next day. And for some to sit around for 3 or 4 days on a call cart or on a desk of someone, that doesn't happen here. But when it does, it's rare. But,
yeah. Well, unless you're calling me right now.
Yeah. I know it's going to be a quick one today because I got a pub seat. It's got my name on it here in a minute. Just I'll be home a little bit, honey. But it's just something, and when the doctors get on the phone with you, it's just something, it's really a great thing because with you through the years, as all of us, and I think our growth kind of just shows it, it's the relationships that, we've had doctors with us since the start of our company and beyond, and it's just, they're long-term guys, and it's just a really great thing. But what's it from? It's from that relationship. And I always say, if we have a doctor we've worked with, and we're going to screw up on cases, no doubt. We're silly humans. We mess up some things here and there. It's rare, but we do. And it could be a contact, being a pinpoint contact and not broad and full like a football. I'm a big football-shaped contact, and I like emergence profile is so important. And, so little things just get me really irked when we don't do that right. But it's just something, that relationship, if we do screw up a case. I mean, I remember when we did an immediate and we didn't do something properly, or we had a full roundhouse, that we did something that was completely wrong, extracting the wrong, ponic area.
Oh,
there's root tips or something that's completely wrong, that the doctor just looked at it and goes, "What the heck are you thinking?" And we just kind of misinterpreted the lab script and we rolled with it. And we don't ever do that anymore, but we've messed up. And there's guys that literally want to jump through the phone and rip my head off, or yours, or whoever that they get a hold of when we do mess up the case. But you know what? When you have that relationship, they give you another chance. And usually we always make good on, whenever we mess up, we make sure we make good on it. But the relationship's so important. But so many times with newer doctors that have only been with us for a few months or a few cases, and we mess up for whatever it is, if it's a turnaround time, if it's an aspect of the lab script that wasn't followed, they think, what the heck, they're not going to give us a shot. And your shot is done. And it's like, you can do everything you can to market to them, to try to get you to try again, but it's kind of one and done or two and done, and without that relationship. So it's so important that we get things right at the beginning. But tell me a little bit about on your relationships. I know you worked for like several years here. You left for a little while, then you came back. And I just know so many of our doctors were so excited. Tell me a little bit about the relationships and the importance of that.
Yeah, actually, just like you're saying, I've talked to quite a few customers that were excited to be back, and vice versa. I was really excited to be talking to these doctors again because, I've thought of a lot of them as, friends and
family, almost in a way. You kind of know, about their children, what college they go to, if they like sports, this one likes to drink, this one is like very, very studious, and this one likes to throw F-bombs, and it's like a lot of different guys. It's just weird how everyone's different in life, I know, but relationships, and I know a lot of the women dentists were happy to see Brandon Fetters is back. They're like, yay.
Yeah, you're just saying that.
Yeah. Oh, it's true. I don't want to put names out there, but no.
Yeah. Well, they probably heard me say it before that I got a great face for radio, but this is what I look like.
We got a face only a mother could love, but our mothers love us.
Most definitely. Sorry.
Now, so go ahead and tell me a little bit on the difficult cases, or some of the common issues when a lot of your calls, what you're doing, what you're seeing. I know there's a lot of room stuff, but tell me a little bit about your day and some of the stuff you get through and get every day, and tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Even I was having a conversation about the mountings and room concerns earlier today about properly conveying that to us. And when I was going over with this doctor, we were basically coming to the conclusion of trying to take a bite registration before they even begin prepping, as well as a study model for that, which is especially huge on the maxillary because of the fact that then we can also index the hard palate to then really confirm that we are at the correct VDO.
Exactly.
Because that seems to be lost quite often, and a lot of times canting will take place, or so there's left side's collapsing down, something of that sort.
The palate and even tissue borders, if there's missing edentulous areas, and so you could take that registration in there, going against that opposing, and it's kind of a neat thing. It's kind of like, in a way, a mush bite, a little bit technique, but it's so important. And I did a video years ago, and it was so kind of hokey and stupid in a way, but it was a real quick thing. And when I did these videos, like we just did it on the flip phone, and it was just for content, because we're just starting to get in social media. So I got some pretty funny ones. It's just I kind of seat in my pants, kind of like we're doing here, but it's what we do. But so anyways, I was just talking about, and there's like 30,000 views on this little thing, and it's just like a minute thing, and it was like, take a bite before you even prep it. So if you're working on 30-31, and it's even a quadrant, just go over to the canine at 27 at least. Try to go to the canine if you're only going quadrant dentistry on the triple tray, but go in with that, and triple trays work great, you get the opposing, you get the bite, and you get the prep all in one shot. But a lot of times when the patients are all numbed up and you inject them, they're not real comfortable, and they're not biting real accurately. So we always say, maybe take a little study model on the opposing or what you're working on, but take a bite with it before you prep it. So if you're on 30 or 31, go to 27 and bring it all the way back to 31 before you prep it, before they're even temped in the chair. The patients relax and do a good little blue moose bite, and throw that in the box. Then go ahead, do your triple tray, do your prep, do the opposing with it and everything else. And we're going to go ahead and just cross-reference that bite registration that we took at the very beginning with what you get on the triple tray. And so it's really kind of a neat thing. It really works good because the teeth are really in a natural, relaxed bite that the doctor can go through when the patient's not all jacked up, because a lot of doctors are kind of, let's give them a whole block on this thing, where guys that are good, you don't have to get a block. And I'm seeing that more and more as I watch more over the shoulder dentistry in this little magic chair. We've done so many crowns in this chair right here. Kind of cool. But, okay, I'll shut up. But anyways, keep going, talk.
Oh, goodness. Well, again, coming back to before the preparation or before even starting on the patient, I'd also like to throw out to be checking the shades at those times, because fairly commonly we'll run into situations where the shades are being taken afterward or after the patient's being prepped, and the teeth begin to dehydrate. So the value starts to raise in the appearance of the shading. And then, then we end up, so the case is now coming back, we got to stain it down a little bit darker.
That's so good. So yeah, not only do that bite, but because teeth hydrate and get dehydrated, as soon as they sit in their chair, it'd probably be good to take that shade.
Absolutely.
Right then and there, get that shade tab up in there. It's really important to get color corrected lights if you could. We like even going outside a little bit in the natural sun, but to get them like before they're all not dehydrated, right when they're sitting in the chair, is kind of an important thing to do that shade taking. And it's just something too that when you're doing the shade taking, if you could get a film, a camera, and try to get the, tab up in the mouth.
True.
And also we have it to where doctors, dentists, the male dentists aren't really great in color. Some are really natural with it, but we find that the women pick colors pretty good, and like the assistants. And so I have a lot of dentists in the past. I would say get a couple of your girls in there, the dental assistant, or maybe it's just your hygienist or whatever, to get a second and third opinion on the colors. And usually the women are really good at picking out that shade.
Definitely.
So I usually tell them, get if you're really hit and miss on the shades, give me a picture of it in the mouth, and get them right when you get in the chair. But also get a couple of your female workers in there, because they seem to pick color pretty good. And it's just I don't have the science behind it, but it works out pretty well. So when that happens,
it's actually not too common, or not too uncommon, I guess I should say, for men to be colorblind. I forget the actual number on it. Somewhere around like the 30 percentile or so,
really?
That reds and greens that men aren't very prone to picking up on. So definitely females are far superior in being able to see color. Pretty evident. That's why we wear white shirts.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of lost the train of thought I was going on right there.
Now,
There we go.
just, about the shade taking. It's so important. Now, tell me a little bit on.
That's what it was. It was about when you're doing the photos on him too. Also, if you're able to go and get the incisal portion of your shade tab up against the incisal of the tooth that you're matching is hugely important. So that way we're getting it on the same plane as that tooth. The light's reflecting back at the camera the same, and that way we don't have the tab in front casting a shadow on the tooth, or vice versa, with the tooth casting a shadow on the tab. So that way it gives us a far better reference point when they're matched up incisal to incisal.
And a lot of times they don't want to do it because they're trying to get the number of the tab, like a C1. Don't worry about that, because you can just write it in. If you can't see if it's an A1 or A2 because you have to turn the tooth around on the middle tab, don't worry about that. Just write it in that this shade tab is a C1 that you're looking at, or it's an A35. But turn it around and get that incisal to it and stuff like that. And the stump shade. How important is that if you're in all ceramics? I mean, so many guys are sending me stuff for cutting down abutments, and they're not giving a stump shade. And it's important that you get a stump shade. But there's not many stump shade things out there other than the Vita stump shade, or is it the Ivoclar?
The Ivoclar, the ND shades.
Yeah.
But
and we get those, but they're like a couple $100, are they, or $100, or I'm not sure.
I'm not sure how much they are, honestly.
I had a few guys that
there.
had some issues with some shades, and we actually even purchased it for them. It's like, it's worth it for a couple $100 to give you this damn tab, so we don't have to keep redoing the shades for us, because it's just, time is money. And so whatever we can do with the tools, we can help out. We also have our own Noritake shade guide too, that we have, that we can give out to doctors, that we can cross-reference off a Vita 3D or a regular Vita pen, or pretty much any shade guide. We'll cross-reference it and go off of that shade and transfer it to the Noritake. But we do have our own Noritake shade guides that, if the values are a little bit different, than the Vita shades. So it's kind of neat. So a lot of you, if you are using us and you would like to get a shade guide from us, let us know. We'll get one out to you, and if you do a little bit of work with us, we won't charge you. We'll just take care of that. But and if you have 2 or 3 ops, you know what? We'll give you 2 or 3, because you don't need to be going to this op to get it. Just have one there. But if you can get the right shade guide, when all we use is Noritake here. I mean, we use the EX3 for our high fusing, PFMs, and our stacked veneers, that we're doing off foil. But then we do the CZR, the Ceruvian by Noritake, for all of our ultra and stuff. So it's pretty neat material. It's probably one of the most expensive ceramics on the market. But again, we kind of use the best products here, and we're not a Ceramco 3 type lab, or some of these other there's some ugly looking porcelains out there. But our porcelain is really lifelike and really beautiful looking. Tell me a little bit about some of the common issues that you're seeing, though. Tell me, 50% of your calls are for room, or what? Tell me what you get, and what are you getting the most of, mostly?
I'd still say that probably the most common is clearance concerns, interocclusal clearance, and then aside from that, it would probably be undercut situations. And it seems like that's most common when it almost appears as though the prep reduction has happened, and then like the doctor's going back and redefining the margin and then creating this undercut. That sometimes they're looking for like a porcelain butt margin or something like that, a nice shoulder, but that undercut is just going to end up being blocked out. Exactly. And every once in a while it ends up actually creating a draw concern. So I'd really have to say just to come from those margins and make sure your axial walls have at least a 6-7 degree taper to them. Yep. And
it's always such a nightmare I remember when I used to call the doctors, it's like, dude, you freaking turned this into a light bulb, because it's basically it's convex at the middle third, and then concave as you get down to the gingival, and you're trying to give me a 90 degree sloping chamfer or 9 degree shoulder, millimeter depth, and it's just kind of overkill. But it is so true that if you can try to keep your axial walls nice and parallel, and just a good prep almost needs no cement if you do it properly. But it's just something that if you can, because there's just so many voids, and so many guys like to build up their preps. They'll cut it down and then they'll fill in with material to make the prep beautiful, polish it up, and it's like, why don't we see those guys doing it more? But I think they're doing it for photographs more than anything. But No, it's just good practice in dentistry. But I always say too, for the dentist, get that margin and all that. Try to go through and maybe base out a little bit of those undercuts, because taking that impression out, if you got a rigid polyether like an Improgum, it's kind of it's a rebound effect that I don't think it's going to mesh up too much, as long as it's not that close to the margin with those undercuts. But we have a lot of blocking out to do, but I have a lot of guys that'll go in and clean up those undercuts a little bit, but then they'll go and soften all the edges, instead of all these like super sharp corners on the tops of preps.
Yeah.
It's like, give me 20 seconds of a nice diamond and go and round off every damn corner. It's like sharpness breaks, and like, with a substructure, a zirconia, it doesn't matter, or an alloy, it doesn't matter. Try to get rid of those little sharp angles and stuff if you can, and just take a little bit of a finesse of a diamond burr at the end of it, and kind of clean up all your rough edges and just smooth things out a little bit. Undercuts we can do all day, and I always tell doctors, back and when I can have preps that are off angle here and there. I mean, I don't know if they're, you're going to see red, you're dead, it's endo there. But so many cases that when we get to the bigger roundhouse and bigger cases, I got a tooth off whack and the whole case is compromised because it's one tooth. Well, the dude can't afford $1,500 for the endo or something. It's almost like I want to send that guy to my brother. We'll do the endo to salvage this case, but it's so easy for us to do a reduction coping. And a lot of doctors, they're getting used to us. Oh, if it's off whack a little bit, give me a coping here, give me a coping there. That's not a problem, but sometimes, we're going to get into, our stone feels no pain, It's like, but it's off. Let's just freaking upright that thing straight up. And God only knows that there's doctors no way he can do that, and unless he does a full endo on this guy. So it's tough, occlusal clearance. I mean, more so than not, can we reduce it off the opposing, or can I just take it off the prep, and we like to do the little coping, it's a metal coping that you get and you put it over the prep, and you'll have part of that prep exposed. You'll take it down flush, and then you'll take that coping off, then take it down a little bit more, and then the cases go together. Teeth also like to move, the periodontal ligament, these teeth are mobile kind of, and so a lot of doctors say, no, it won't be a problem because he can get in there and torque it in a little bit. Maybe it shifts a little bit so he doesn't have to touch it. But I always used to have some doctors that do all the big roundies and stuff, they go through and around the preps right before they're going to cement or bridge it and just kind of go relieve all the angles a little bit more,
That's good,
and then it just kind of drops to place. But, so a lot of the calls, what other kind of calls are you getting?
Well, yeah, that's a good hit on that one too. The parallelism factor that, what I sometimes have made a joke of is the 5-finger path of insertion, the old O.J. Simpson. But
doesn't fit, you gotta squeeze it. No.
But other than that, I'd say by far most commonly is just a requested call, just to review the case and go over what our, the treatment plan, like you were saying earlier, just to verify that and the different steps that we're going to take. Material selection, everything of that sort, what's going to work out best for the patient tends to really, I'd say overall, probably the doctor requested call is the most common reason why I have cases.
Yeah, and that's
which
awesome,
is a good thing.
It's a good thing that they're asking more. And we always say that too. When a doctor will get through to me finally, if he's having issues or he just wants to talk to me, I'll just say, you know what? We're not into the flavor of the month. We are not going to pick a product. I'm not going to say use my KDZ Bruxer because that's my Bruxer and I make $4 more per unit on that. It's not about the money. It's about what works with what case and what patient and what their ideal objectives is to, what kind of porcelain are you thinking? What kind of restoration? And we see this day in and day out. So for those kind of calls, it's a great thing, where you can give an honest opinion on what you think will work best. And I think that's any good company that has different product choices to really let the, consumer know that what they think is best in that, because we see this every day. So that's awesome. And you'll pick something that works, like I got a lot of guys that or no, I've got to have Emax here, and here. And it's like, you know what, dude, that's only about 400 megapascals of flexural strength. We don't want to be doing 300 bridges, really. If we don't have to, let's go to maybe an Ultra, or even our Bruxer aesthetic is stronger and just almost aesthetic as that Emax nowadays.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty nice.
Yeah, and then you're going with a monolithic, so you're eliminating the interfaces, which the more interfaces you have is just more probability for fracture. So
absolutely.
So if you can go monolithic, you're gonna see greater longevity. So
the breakage is kind of gone. The only time you'll get some breakage, maybe some connector areas, if you got 3x3 and you got a wall that's only 4/10, but I got these big heavy connectors. It's just very rare. But man, I think I got my gray hair in the last 10 years of PFMs, because we did a lot of PFMs, we still do, but you're going to get some fractures with PFMs here and there. Yeah. When those teeth are off angle, this and that, and it's something, we call it the tin can effect. It's like that little Pepsi can where you think you have to, you put an opaquer over that and bake it, and then you put this porcelain over that and you bake that, and you have this like tin can in there, because we're at 3/10, 4/10. I mean, it's very, very thin. And so when they go in, the patient loads up on that or tries to get into a centric, check your bite. And if we're a little too thin in an area on that metal, it likes to go crunch a little bit and pop, and it'll pop at that margin. And the doctor is like, and breakage. I mean, we didn't have much remakes, with PFMs, but when we did, 95% of it was not for color, was not for anything but breakage. And it's always been a nightmare for a lot of labs, especially when, the CTEs, it's coefficient of thermal expansion, and you have to match the CTEs of your alloys exactly to the ceramic that you're putting upon it. And it's like a science equation. You really can't mix and match. I'm going to pick this porcelain because I can get it for $1 a gram, and I got this alloy from this dude from God knows where, and I'm going to put them together and see if it works. And it's just like these guys try to do this, and you're wondering why none of their stuff. And we measure liquid powder ratios, we measure oven temps, we do all the stuff you have to do to try to predictably get the best result. And it's still come back and bite you in the ass in these bigger cases, like, because it's a freaking PFM, man. And, and it could be on my end too, where, we're at 3/4 by the time the ceramist sandblasts it for the third time through all the different cycles of buildup and glazing. And, you get a little hard on that aluminous oxide sandblast, and you're going to get a little thinness in there on our end. So it could be our end as much as the path of draw being a problem. And, it's just, there's a lot of variables that can go wrong in this field, and we try to eliminate as many as we can. I mean, the doctor has variables, yes, impression materials that are contracting and shrinking, and, he has patients that have periodontal problems that are freaking, you need to see an orthodontist first, you need to go see, periodontist next, get these gums tightened up, and then we need 3 root canals, and then let's do the case properly. And then, does that happen? A lot of times, no. It's like, let's cut these down and see what we can do to get something on it.
Yeah, that's true too, because we do run into that pretty often, where the doctor's trying to get the patient to go through ortho to get them set up properly to then do the final prosthesis, and the patient's just really anxious, doesn't want to do it. They want to go straight forward with the case, and so we're trying to correct these crowding situations and that. So the case is going to be pretty challenging, especially when it's that type of a situation, for the doctor to be limited on the room and doing that with the overlapping teeth.
They can't afford this, Sean. We got to do this. Let's see what we can do. And we're sitting here with a bag of, a can of worms or whatever. We got to try to make it.
I'm going to say peroxide there for a second.
That's our podcast for bleaching. The podcast for getting teeth white. But well, hey, we're running out of time here. I want to thank everybody for this week's Dental Up podcast. I thank you for tuning in. If you could go to the iTunes area on Dental Up and subscribe to us. Leave a review if you could. But I want to thank you all for listening. Brandon Fetters, you are the man.
Hey.
Thanks for having me. I want to thank you for all the hard work you do, man. I'm so appreciative, and I really am thankful that you're with us and you've been with us a long time. And I know you do a great job. You do it with passion, and you really care about these cases and these doctors. So I can't thank you enough. You can't teach what you have, man. It's just you got a good heart and everything else, and I want to thank you for all that you do here.
Well, it's certainly my pleasure. Appreciate you calling me back, saying come on home.
You got it, man.
Great to be here.
Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.